How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Eric and this is my garage. Now in today's video I'm gonna go ahead and go through my project, my Infiniti G35. Now ever since I got this project I never did actually go through all the fluids and replace them. So in today's video I'm gonna go ahead and replace the coolant, the power steering, the transmission, and the differential fluid. And on top of all of that I'm gonna go ahead and change the brake pads, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get my rotors and get them turned so that everything on this car is ready to go. Before I do anything, I want to give a special shout out to all of you guys that have been watching my videos and for all the support that you guys have showed to my channel. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to make these videos, so thanks a lot. Now, I'm not gonna lie guys, this vehicle is hideous the way that it looks right now, but I do have some big plans for it in the future, so go ahead and stay tuned for my upcoming videos. All projects have to start somewhere, right? So first let's go ahead and put the vehicle in the garage. We're gonna get some maintenance out of the way so that we know this vehicle is gonna continue to run for a long time. The first items that I have in front of me are some replacement performance brake pads along with new hardware and grease. These are going to go nicely with the Bramble package that this vehicle comes equipped with. For the power steering fluid, I'm going to be using Valvoline Max Life Full Synthetic Automatic Transmission Fluid. This actually works great in your power steering system on Nissan vehicles. For the rear differential, I'm going to be using SuperTech Full Synthetic 75W90 GL5 gear oil. For the transmission, I'm going to be using Redline MT90 Full Synthetic GL4 gear oil. Now this oil is specifically for my vehicle, so make sure that you check your owner's manual for your correct oil. As far as the coolant goes, I'm going to be using this bottle of fully concentrated coolant that I'm later going to be mixing with a 50-50 mixture of distilled water and coolant. Since we're going to be doing an overhaul on the vehicle, we're going to go ahead and jack it up completely and support it by jack stands. Next, we're going to go ahead and remove the coolant out of the vehicle. Go ahead and go in the engine bay and remove the bleeder valve that you use to remove all the air out of the coolant system. Once you do that, go ahead and go underneath your vehicle and locate your radiator drain plug. This is going to remove all the coolant out of your vehicle. To speed up the draining process, you can also remove your radiator cap. While we let the coolant finish, we're going to go ahead and drain the power steering fluid. At the same time, I'm going to go ahead and do a complete flush. Now you can use a turkey baster, but I found that this way that I'm going to show you is a lot faster, and you're going to get most of the old fluid out by doing this method instead. Locate your return line that goes to the reservoir from the power steering rack. Go ahead and disconnect the line so that you can drain the power steering fluid. Make sure that you have something to catch all the fluid that comes out of the container. Next, what we're going to do is get the return line and aim it down into a container so that we can catch any remaining fluid. We're going to get in the vehicle and turn the vehicle on. We're going to let it run for about 3 seconds or so, and then we're going to go ahead and turn it off. Once the vehicle turns on, it's going to go ahead and automatically spin the power steering pump. Now the pump is going to pump the rest of the power steering fluid within the system, and it's going to try to send it back into the reservoir. But if you guys remembered, we did disconnect the line, so all the fluid that's going to be coming from the power steering rack should be emptying out into the container. When we're doing this, it's going to allow for all the fluid to come out that's within the system, and it's going to give us the best flush that we can get on the vehicle. With the power steering fluid flush complete, we're going to go ahead and put everything back together, and we're going to go ahead and focus our attention at cleaning the coolant overflow tank on this vehicle. I'm going to take it a step further and actually remove the coolant overflow tank so that we can properly clean it. Luckily for me, when I removed the coolant overflow tank, I noticed that the line leaving the overflow tank was clogged up, so I quickly resolved this by running water through the line. With the coolant overflow tank cleaned and ready to go, we're going to go ahead and focus our attention at finishing up the coolant system. Install the radiator drain plug back onto the radiator. When you're filling up the radiator with coolant, make sure that you're pouring it in slowly. This is going to avoid having a lot of buildup of air bubbles within the system. So make sure that you pour it slowly so that you guys can avoid this. Also, this is going to make it a lot easier for you to bleed out the air out of the system. To bleed all the air out of the system, go ahead and turn the vehicle on and let it idle at operating temperature. You're going to see coolant coming out of this hole right here. Once you guys see that, that's going to let you guys know that all the air has left the coolant system. Now it's time to go ahead and go underneath the vehicle and remove the transmission fluid along with the differential. Go ahead and first start off by removing the fill plug on the transmission. Next, go ahead and remove the drain plug. Now, I do have a video on my YouTube channel that will show you guys more in detail how to do this process. If you guys are interested in this, go ahead and check the link above. With the transmission fluid drained, go ahead and add new fluid into the transmission until you see it leaking out of the fill plug. Go ahead and fasten everything back down, and let's go in the rear so that we can change the differential fluid as well. Start off by first removing the fill plug. Once you do that, you can go ahead and drain the differential fluid out of the vehicle. With the differential drained, you can go ahead and add new fluid back into the differential. You're going to be following the same rules as you did with the transmission and look for any fluid that leaks out of the fill plug. Once you guys see that, that's how you'll know you have enough fluid in your differential. So go ahead and fasten everything back down, and we're going to go ahead and move on to the braking system. So we're going to go ahead and remove our brake pads and our brake caliper so that we can get access to a rotor so that we can get it turned. So that I can get more views on this video, I did go ahead and turn the caliper so that it can be facing me. Start off by first removing the safety clips that hold in the caliper pins. Now you can go ahead and remove your slide pins out of the way. Next, go ahead and remove the brake pads out of the caliper. Next, we need to remove our brake caliper. First, remove this 12mm fastener. You also need to remove this 12mm nut that holds the brake line to this bracket. Now you can go ahead and remove these two 22mm fasteners that hold the brake caliper onto the knuckle. With those two fasteners removed, you can go ahead and wiggle your caliper out of the way. So that your brake caliper doesn't hang by the brake line, go ahead and get a bungee cord and just hook it onto the strut assembly so that it doesn't damage the brake line. Now that we have the caliper out of the way, we can remove the rotor. Now it's time to do the rear brakes. So we're going to go ahead and remove the wheel. Next, we're going to go ahead and remove the brake pads. We're also going to remove the brake caliper by removing these two fasteners. Last but not least, we're going to go ahead and remove the brake rotor out of the way so that we can also get this one turned.
1 hour later.
In front of me, I have my rotors after they got resurfaced by the shop. As you guys can tell, they almost look like new. It's always recommended for you guys to get your rotors turned when you get new brake pads. That way, your brake pad and rotor can last a longer time. This is a little side-by-side comparison between the two rotors. As you guys can tell, it does make a huge difference. Since I had the caliper removed, I decided to give it a small cleaning. Sometimes when you have a buildup of brake dust in your caliper, it can cause brake noise down the road. So by doing this now, you guys can prevent that from happening. With your caliper cleaned, go ahead and install your rotor back onto your vehicle. Now we can also go ahead and put the caliper back onto the vehicle. So go ahead and fasten everything back down. Now we can go ahead and install our performance brake pads. A good practice with brake pads is to try to install the brake pad with the indicator on the inner side of the caliper. This is the brake pad that tends to wear out faster, so you want the brake pad with the wear indicator on the inner part of the caliper so that you get notified when the brake pads are getting low. With the front done, I also decided to give the rear a nice cleaning as well. Go ahead and basically repeat the same process as what you did in the front. This is gonna wrap up the video, guys. We covered a lot in today's video, so I hope one of these things was useful for you guys. Now, as far as the new brake pads, they do require a break-in period, so you want to go ahead and follow what the manufacturer recommends as far as the break-in procedure goes. For these particular brakes, I'll go ahead and leave the break-in procedure in my description so you guys can get an idea of what you need to do. It's very important that you guys do this break-in procedure because it can avoid any issues down the road. If you guys liked the video, please make sure to give me a thumbs up, and if you guys are just stumbling upon this video, consider subscribing for more videos like this. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace out.